Good morning, everyone. I think I am live. Hopefully that's working. When you do come on, you can type in the chat and let me know you're there and say hello from whatever part of the country you're in. Jamie's on. Good morning, Jamie. Hope everybody can see me and hear me okay. I have been wearing my earbuds just because it's a little better. Vanessa's there and Michaelia, I think I said that right. Good morning. I'll just wait a couple more minutes and then I'll get started. Okay, so I will get started. I think everybody can hear and see me okay because some people said good morning, so that's good. Welcome to this webinar on exercise or extra fries, eating out after COVID-19, and good morning to Carmen. I kind of was inspired by it because I'm from Wainwright, Alberta. I'm the manager of health promotion, and our restaurants have been open for a bit, and I know restaurants are starting to open up across Canada a little bit. So it's kind of good to start thinking about some healthy tips while eating out. And hello, Florin. Awesome. So I kind of was inspired by a meme I saw when I named this. There was one with a little minion on it and it said exercise. I thought you said extra fries. So hopefully we're thinking a little bit more about exercise now than extra fries. So I hope everyone's having a happy Monday. It's still morning in Alberta. Just a reminder, this week is Men's Health Week. So there's lots of stuff going on. You can visit their website. It's always in conjunction with Father's Day as well, which is coming up on the weekend. So if you need to run out and get cards and do things, just a reminder of that. So just some things before we get started. This presentation you're about to view is the intellectual property of the Department of National Defense. Any reproduction or retransmission of the slides contained in this presentation is strictly forbidden. Some of the topics discussed in this webinar may be of a sensitive nature and not appropriate for children. We ask for parental discretion. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about some healthy tips eating out, but some people will do a webinar on, addictions or managing anger or stress, and some of those have discussions that aren't always appropriate for children. Good morning, Ryan. Please understand that people's stories are theirs alone to tell, and anything that is shared by the participants in this webinar, either on camera or in the chat, is not to be discussed outside of the webinar. This webinar is being recorded, but not the chat, so that won't be recorded. It just records me and then also the presentation. And they will be available for viewing later on calfconnection.ca. As well, CF Morale and Welfare Services has a YouTube channel, and they have some of the past webinars on there. And it's good to look at Kingston and Petawawa have been sharing the recordings on their Calf Connection pages too, so you can look there. Though active participation is encouraged, you may simply follow along without using the chat or the video microphone function if you prefer. So I'm going to have you do some polls and I'm going to ask you some questions. There'll be lots of interaction. You can choose to participate or not. It'll definitely be more interesting if you do, especially the polls. You'll want to participate in those. Again, you don't have your microphone or your camera, but if there's a question you'd like to ask at the end, I can turn those on for you. But if you have any questions along the way, you can always type things in the chat as well. And if I don't answer it at the time, I'll go back to it later to make sure I answered it. So this is what we are going to look at this morning or afternoon if you're on the east, further east than I am. We're going to look at selecting an appropriate meal at various types of restaurants post-COVID-19, maintain appropriate eating strategies even when eating out or traveling. So hopefully we'll be able to do some more traveling over the next few months as the weather gets warmer. and understand the calories contained within alcohol and mixes. So we'll look at the calories in alcohol too, because often we just don't, when we eat out, we also have consume alcohol too. I forgot to do my first poll. I'm going to do that right now. Sorry about that. We are collecting some stats on who's participating. So just a question that'll come up there you can answer. What is your affiliation with the CAF community? Sorry about that. I should have done that at the beginning. Again, whatever fits you best. So cool. Again, if you don't answer it right away, you can always go back. I think just about everybody answered. So we kind of have a mix of people here, so that's good. Sorry about that. I was supposed to do that before. I'm going to ask you, of course, another question now. So when I eat out, I don't worry about nutrition. So I'm going to give you another poll, whether you agree or disagree with that. And I'll share the results as well. Disagree? Oh, I got quite a few disagrees, agrees. Agree? Oh, lots of people do worry, so that's good. Okay, that's interesting that because when they actually polled Canadians, about 63% agreed with this. Okay, so when they eat out, they don't worry about nutrition. So you guys are in the minority compared to the Canadians that were surveyed. So that's really good to know that you're thinking about those things already, and probably part of the reason that you came to attend today. So whether you think about nutrition or not when you're eating out really depends on how often you eat out. Eating out, we fight with the ghost. Oh, that's kind of good. It's a good comment. So if you're heading out for that special once a year occasion, it's an anniversary, it's a birthday, or your favorite restaurant is finally opened up again, you may not worry so much about nutrition. Or if it's a restaurant, you know, you've never been to before, something like that, you might not worry so much. But if you're eating out several days or several times a week, the food you choose when eating out will have a significant impact on your overall nutritional intake. So, you know, if you go out for lunch Wednesday or you're going out for supper on Friday, you might want to think a little bit more about that nutrition. Whereas if you haven't eaten out for a whole month and you decide to go out, you might not worry so much. So I'm just going to ask you guys a question. What types of foods or restaurants are you missing right now? So you can just type those into the chat. I'll tell you what I'm missing, which isn't totally food, but is alcohol. I really like craft beer. And during COVID-19, oh, Joanne said sushi. Yeah, sushi. I really like craft beer. And of course, you can still get it in cans and stuff. Oh, Mexican food. But you can't, you couldn't get the draft. Whereas in Alberta, they're starting to open, so now you can. So, oh, sushi, Mexican, Dawn said, awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely missing some things as well. Even though restaurants are starting to open a little bit here, sometimes the menu is limited. And of course, if we're not traveling as much, we're not seeing as many different restaurants either. So when you do decide you're going to eat out, you might want to make some decisions before you go. So will this be a healthy meal or not? So sometimes we need to indulge, and we can have whatever we want. Again, moderation is key. We do get a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from food, so it's important to give ourselves those treats or those foods that are high in calories sometimes. So what's good to do is follow the 80% rule. So approximately 80% of your calories should be of high nutritional value, and the other 20% can come from those non-nutritional calories. So, you know, it's jam, cookies, chocolate, chips, alcohol, whatever that is. Ice cream, this time of year, often we eat more ice cream. So, and remember, it's 80% of your calories, not 80% of your food. So, you know, you can't say, well, you know, I had 4 carrots today, this morning. So my fifth, you know, item, my 20% can be a large blizzard. So it's 80% of your calories, not 80% of your volume of your food should come, be those healthy, high nutritional foods. Decide where you will eat. Most restaurants now have their menu online on their social media. So see what the menu at the restaurant is so you can think about what you're going to order, or if you have any dietary restrictions that can be accommodated. So sometimes it's good to look and think about what you're going to have and what's the healthier choice. I know lots of restaurants right now do have limited menu items, so sometimes it's good to look that up. Decide how much you'll eat. So if you know a place has really large portions, or you really want that special dessert, maybe share it with somebody else. Especially dessert, sometimes you can share with a couple of people. Again, plan your beverage as well. Wine, beer, regular soft drinks can add a lot of calories, and we'll talk more about alcohol consumption near the end of the webinar. So as well, you can ask your server about how the food is prepared. So there's a question on the slide there, says, what words tell you something is not the healthiest choice? So those kind of cooking words that we see. Of course, if it says deep fried, we know. So if you can type in the chat, what words tell you something is not the healthiest choice? Especially how it is cooked. Oh yeah, pan fried, anything battered. Yeah, that, especially if it says beer battered, that makes it sound even better, doesn't it? Although we know it's not healthy. Okay. So of course, get things cooked the way you would like them. So grilled meats, poultry, fish, veggies, rather than things that are deep fried. So as it says on the slide, look for steamed, baked, broiled, braised, poached, or grilled, and limit the things like sauteed, pan fried, deep fried, battered, or crispy. I think like you see lots of crispy chicken salads and you think, oh yeah, but of course crispy is just another word for deep fried. So just some words to look for. Again, limit your selection of foods that use those sauteed, pan fried, deep fried, battered, and crispy. And of course, many chain restaurants have their nutritional information available for items on their menus as well. I know in Ontario, all restaurants have to provide the calorie intake of all food items. I know here our McDonald's does for sure. So whether that's a national initiative, and also I know Boston Pizza provides it for some foods as well. But again, you can always look those calories up. It's a little bit harder if it's not a franchise, but you can always look up that nutritional information. So let's just have a quick look at some different menus. So this used McDonald's menu when I planned it. So the calories and fats can add up really quickly when you're choosing fast foods. So here was just a small hamburger, a side garden salad with light dressing and a 1% milk, and then a quarter-pound hamburger, large fries, and a medium cola. So when you look at the calories, it's quite a big difference, almost double the calories, double more of the fat. Saturated fat is double, and sodium is great, a lot greater as well, but not double. So when we look at these foods, if you're eating about a 2,000 calorie diet per day, and some people might need more or less. Of course, if you're taller and bigger, you need more calories. If you're more active, you need more calories. So 2,000 is kind of an average, and you may need more, you may need less, but you can still kind of use those numbers as a guideline. So if you're eating 2,000 calories, about 65 you should have about 65 grams of total fat. So when you look at menu 2, we're getting quite close to almost the total amount of fat we should have for the day. And of those 65 grams of fat, 20 can be saturated. So if we look at menu 2, we're getting more than half our daily intake of saturated fat just from that one meal. And sodium, it's recommended, it'd be ideal if we could have about 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. Of course, if you eat fast food, you're going to get lots of lots more sodium. I mean, they put lots of salt and sodium on stuff. And the maximum you should have is about 2,300 milligrams. So again, that menu too, you're getting about half your daily intake of sodium just for that meal. So when I was looking this up, I kind of was looking at some other menu items. And so I looked at the poutine from McDonald's. I know it's not the greatest poutine if you're really a connoisseur of poutine, but and I know it's not a huge serving, but it's 780 calories. It's 33 grams of fat, of which 12 are saturated fat. So you're getting more fat than menu number 2. And it's 3,250 milligrams of sodium. So it's huge. Yeah. Okay. So Florence said some recommend 2,000 milligrams of sodium. Yeah. And it depends too. If, people have high blood pressure and stuff, often it recommends not having as much sodium. I think that Florence said good or not. I think the max you should have is about 2,300, but 1,500 would be greater, which is really hard to do, even if you're doing all your own cooking. So yeah, 2,000 is good. It's still under the max. So good. So just realize when you're eating out, you're probably getting more sodium than when you're doing your own cooking. So the next menu is Chinese food. So it used Manchu wok. I use that as for the nutritional value. So kind of have to start somewhere. Different Chinese restaurants may be different. But again, having the fried rice has a lot of fat compared to the steamed rice, and anything deep fried. So the sweet and sour pork and the chicken balls and the vegetable egg roll will be deep fried. So they will have more calories from that. So of course you can see the calories. Both of those are quite high in calories. Again, more fat in menu 1, more deep fried, and of course the sodium as well is quite high in both of those too. So if you have menu 1, you're getting more than the 2,300 milligrams of sodium that's recommended for a person to have every day. So just from that one meal, you're getting more sodium than you should. So if you are choosing to have Chinese food, think about some of the healthier choices that you can have. Okay, so we're going to do a few little multiple choice questions. So I'll bring up some polls so you can answer. So eating out smarts. So the first question, how many calories would you find in 2 slices of large pepperoni pizza and a can of cola? So when I designed this question, I looked at Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Little Caesars when I decided how many calories would be in the pizza. And if you just want to think about just a can of cola, so Pepsi or Coke or whatever. So I'll bring up that poll so you can answer it. So 450, 700, 950. No one's saying 450, so that's good. Okay, so 90% of you have answered, so that's good. Actually, the answer is 700. So each piece of pizza is about 280 calories per slice, and then the can of cola about 140, so it comes up about 700. But if you had 3 slices of pizza, it would be 980 calories. So if you did have an extra slice, and often you'd have 2 slices and then you want another. So there are some ways that you could make this a healthier choice. So how could you make this pizza and Coke or Pepsi meal a better choice? So if you think of, you can type some things in the chat. What has Dawn said? Skip the soda for sure. Have a beverage, have water instead is a good thing to do because it's a lot of empty calories. Make your own pizza for sure, because then you have more control of what the ingredients are that you put in. So good idea, Frank, to make your own pizza. And I'm sure people have been doing that during COVID-19 because people have been home a bit more. Some other things you can do as well is have more vegetables on it. Often a pepperoni pizza is only pepperoni and cheese and tomato sauce, so have some more vegetables. Again, having the extra cheese adds calories too. So, you know, if they give you the option of having less cheese, you could have a thin crust instead of a regular crust. If there's the option to have a whole wheat crust rather than a regular crust, that would make it healthier too. As Dawn said, yeah, change out the drink for something that's no calories or something that is healthier. Again, too, maybe instead of having, you know, 2 slices of pizza, have 1 slice and then have a side salad or something. So you could kind of mix that up a little bit. So good, awesome. So next question, how many grams of fat would you find in a medium iced cappuccino? 7, 10, or 15? And so when I designed this question, I used Tim Hortons as a guideline for it. It is kind of iced cap season. And of course, when we have snacks, we got to be mindful of the calories and the fat that go with that. Okay. 70% of people answered. So how many grams of fat in 1 medium iced cappuccino? Okay, so 80% of you have answered, so that's pretty good. So actually, the 3 of you that said 15 grams, you were correct. So there is 15 grams of fat in 1 medium iced cappuccino at Tim Hortons. So it's a lot of fat. Of those 15 grams, 9 are saturated fat. And remember I said before, about 20 grams of your daily intake should be saturated. So it's just about half of that. And it's 360 calories. So, and you can drink one of those medium iced caps really quickly, especially on a hot day. You can make it a little bit healthier if that's something you really like. I mean, you can always have a smaller size too. That's a good option. You can also ask them to do milk or chocolate milk too, and that will make it a little bit less too. And of course, as John said before, have something else to drink that at least has some healthy nutrients in, or have water which has no calories. So the next question, I also used Tim Hortons. So I kind of took an average of the calories. So which food contains the most calories? A donut, a cookie, or a muffin? Bring that one up so you can answer that. I think they're in a different order than on my slide. I apologize for that. Okay, so 64% of you have answered that question. So which food contains the most calories? Okay, so the majority of you answered that correctly. It is the muffin. So again, the calories from, I kind of did a range, and this wouldn't be any specialty. Sometimes they have specialty cookies or donuts or muffins. So just kind of the ones they have regularly on their menu. So donuts, they range in calories from 180 to 310 calories. Cookies from 210 to 280, and muffins from 340 to 420 calories. So even the lowest calorie muffin has more calories than any donut and cookie that you can buy there. Again, some of the muffins might be a little bit healthier because they might have some bran or something in them, but they're still going to have a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. So often people think, oh, I'm getting a muffin, it's a healthy breakfast, but it's not really a healthy breakfast to have. So again, sometimes it's nice to have a snack to go with your coffee. So, you know, if you can bring a snack from home, have fruit or something else. I think moderation as well. So maybe if you really like those snacks, limit them to once a week. So you're not having them too often. I know a good thing about working from home for me is people aren't bringing those things into work because often we eat them when they're around. So the last question here. How many calories would you find in a half dozen or 6 chicken wings? Now there is a range here. just because it depends if they're breaded and the size of them and stuff. So I kind of gave you a range of where that would fit. So 320 to 500, 520 to 700, and 720 to 900. Okay. So only one person got that right. I can tell you who responded, just like you guys can see how many people responded, but it's anonymous, so that's good. So whoever that is can really pat themselves on the back, whoever got that right. It is between 720 and 900 calories. So one chicken wing, again, it would depend on the size, but average calories 103. So 6 of them would be 618. And then, of course, when we have chicken wings, there's usually a sauce on them. So a quarter cup of sauce, usually about 105 calories. So that would be about 723 calories. But if you have batter wings where they put a batter on them, they're going to be 159 calories each. So 954 calories, and then add the sauce to them. That gives you just over 1,000 calories. So that's why 720 to 900 is the calorie count for that. So it's kind of an average. And again, my question, and I don't need you to answer it, is who usually goes out on Wing Wednesdays or whatever and has just 6 chicken wings, or people might have 6 chicken wings as a starter and then have their meal and a couple beers. So those calories can add up very quickly. So those 6, if you're eating 2,000 calorie a day diet, those 6 chicken wings could be just almost half of your calorie intake for the day. So just a few more tips about eating out, and I'll ask you as well at the end of this if you have any other tips as well that you can pass along. So the first one is salad. So not all dressings are created equal. So vegetables are very low in calorie, high in nutrients. It's usually when we add the dressing to them that makes the whole salad higher in fat. So this table shows some basic nutritional information for some common salad dressings, and it's based on a 3 tablespoon serving. And some restaurants might actually be more generous and give you more, so it could even double or triple the values. Again, of course, the creamier ones are often higher, but if you look at the Italian one, it's lower in calories, but it's quite high in sodium. So, and restaurants, if it's a chain restaurant, they should have their nutritional information about their dressings as well. So you can always check that out. Again, you can always ask for your dressing on the side. Often it does come on the side. Another tip someone told me about once is to dip your fork in your dressing with each mouthful instead of pouring it over your entire salad. So dipping your fork in your dressing, then getting your vegetables on it, and then eating it instead of dumping it all over, because then you might not eat as much of it. So another little tip there. So sometimes people think a salad is the healthier option, especially Caesar salad when they're choosing sides, and often it's not. Food toppings as well. So those special sauces, the creamy dressings, the tartar sauce, the gravy, all of those high in fat, can be high in sodium as well. So they add a lot of calories. So I'm going to get you to type in the chat, what are some healthier options for food toppings? So what are those toppings you can get put on that are healthier options? Oh, nuts and seeds. Oh, for sure. Good. Yeah, they add flavor and it's healthy fat. What else can you use for healthier toppings as opposed to those creamy dressings, the tartar sauce, the gravy? Fruit. Oh, you can put fruit, especially I like to put fruit on salads. Even you can put it on sandwiches and things like that as well. It adds a nice sweetness. Salsa, as Vanessa said, salsa is very good. You can make your own, but you also buy it. It's quite low in calories. Balsamic vinaigrette, yeah, you can find ones that are low in calories as well and are good. So again, things like salsa, low fat, mustard, ketchup, things like that aren't too high in calories either. One thing with some of the food toppings, you might want to look for stuff that is lower sugar or sodium options. Carmen said squeeze lemon. Yeah, that's good. Any citrus or lime or whatever really adds a good flavor too. So that's a good option to add. to your salads or any other toppings. I think sometimes it's hard when a restaurant adds the toppings to it. So if you go to Subway or something and you say, I just want a little bit of something, their idea of a little bit and my idea of a little bit might be quite different. So again, if they do it on the side for you, that's great. But sometimes it's hard when they're putting those on for you. So it might be better sometimes at those places to choose a no toppings or to put your own on. Okay, drink smart as well. So large servings of pop and other iced beverages provide a number of extra calories. This time of year, I think we're having a lot of people might be having iced tea or things like that as well. So those calories can add up really quickly. Also watch flavored syrups and whipped creams that are added to coffee and teas because those add up. So get drinks made with lower fat milk or other non-dairy milk and skip the whipped cream. I know we're probably not drinking as many hot drinks, but when fall comes, we often have more of those pumpkin lattes and things like that. So think about making those lower calorie. And also calories also really add up when we consume alcoholic beverages. And we'll talk about the calories in those later on because it can add up really quickly. So also fill up on fiber. So foods high in fiber add bulk to your meal, so you're getting more volume, but not more calories and fat. So have things there, whole grain breads or pastas or rice if you can get those. And if they're available, have lots of vegetables and fruit. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, those kinds of things are good as well and add fiber, nuts and seeds. Jamie had mentioned putting that on salads. So, if that's an option for salads at restaurants, that's a really good thing as well. So when you go out, think about having those things, what menu items are high in fiber. And then the side choices. So often you get asked which side. Some places even give you two sides. So, having the French fries and the poutine, the onion rings. I know we have a restaurant here that does the kettle fries or sweet potato fries. If you have cake or pie, hash browns, garlic bread. Of course, when you go out for breakfast, they may give you the option of hash browns on the side. So what are some healthier side dishes? So when you're choosing sides and the restaurant is asking you what you'd like on the side, what would be a healthier choice to have as a side dish? So you can type those into the chat. What would be a healthier side dish? A glass of water, right? For sure, you don't always have to have the sides, do you? That's an option. Side salad, Vanessa said, yeah. And often it's better to have this mixed salad than to have like a Caesar salad because sometimes those Caesar salads can be quite high in calories. And also a Caesar salad doesn't have as many variety of vegetables in it as a mixed salad usually does. I like Ryan's, a glass of water, yeah. Yeah, you can skip the sides for sure. Steamed veggies. The Carmen saying fries every time for me because you don't make them at home. Sometimes, I may need to indulge sometimes, but yeah, if you're eating out a couple times a week, you don't want to be having fries. And of course, the fries we get out are better usually than taste better than the ones we make at home. So yeah, or sharing the French fries with someone is a good plan as well. So if you can get steamed vegetables, on some places we'll give you the option of a baked potato. Just don't get the loaded baked potato because sometimes they put butter, margarine, sour cream, cheese, all kinds of stuff. So if you do get the baked potato, maybe ask for the stuff on the side so you have more control of what is being put into it, or ask. I don't think they usually give out salsa, but that's a good thing to put on a baked potato as well. You can get the rice. If there is a fruit salad option, I know someone mentioned putting that on salad. So if you go out for brunch, I know there used to be this one restaurant when you went out for brunch, they give you the option if you wanted hash browns or sliced tomatoes, which I thought was a really good option to have. Even double the vegetables. So Carmen mentioned steamed vegetables. So if they'll give you extra vegetables, for sure, again, watch how they're cooked, or if there is the option of having a whole grain roll or something like that. So think about those sides. Okay, dessert, think fresh and light. So what are some desserts that would be considered fresh or light? So I know lots of restaurants don't really serve any fresh or light desserts, but if they did, what would they serve for dessert that would be fresh and light? So you can type those into the chat. Desserts would be fresh and light. It's kind of a picture there that gives you a clue if you had fruit. Yeah, fruit salad, Joanne said. Awesome fruit salad. If places have that, it's a good option to have it. I think it's quite sad because I think most restaurants, they buy their desserts. So it's things like, oh, a small pie. Yeah, if you can get a small pie or even share that pie is better. Sugar-free Jell-O, if they have Jell-O, yogurt with fruit. Some places do the fruit parfaits, which are good. Thanks, Florian. Again, I think most restaurants do serve the check. It's low calories but high in price. That's good. Again, even if they have, low-fat yogurt or sherbet or sorbet or things like that are light as well. Again, sometimes we do want to have that cheesecake or that cake or things like that. It's okay to indulge, but often desserts are a lot of calories and they're quite large. So if you can get a smaller size, some will have a smaller size or share it, right? Is a good thing to do just because it is a lot of calories. Spray can real whipped cream, you feel like you're getting more. Ah, that's good. So if you actually have real whipped cream. Okay, good. Okay, and the last tip, just watch your portions. I know McDonald's doesn't supersize anymore, but thinking about supersizing your portion, it usually just for a small cost, it doesn't cost a lot, but it packs a nutritional blow. So I know like the keg will say, do you want a keg size? Or, they'll say for $1, do you want this much? And yeah, it is a better deal because you get more volume. But you're also getting more calories. So, again, decide if you're eating out quite often or trying to watch your calories. Don't have the larger portion. So if we go back to McDonald's and you have, the double patty burger and the large fries and the large soft drink, it's about 1,200 calories. So that's a lot of calories. Whereas if you went back to our menu where you just have the single patty burger, the side salad, the milk, it's about 435 calories, so about a third of the calories. So think about that as well. Or some places I know have the meal size things. And so think about not having such a large portion. So I have a couple other tips for eating out that I know people have used and I've given to people. Talked about this a bit and later high blood pressure. Yeah. So share entrees with others, especially if restaurants have really large entrees, and usually the entree size are much more than the recommended portion. So you're getting way more food than's recommended and that you would put on your plate at home. Another thing to do is to place half of your entree into a takeout container right away. This way you're not tempted to eat everything. So sometimes we're like, I need to eat it all because I paid for it, or my mom said I needed to clear off my plate as a kid, so I need to eat everything. Some restaurants might do that. They might bring you a takeout right away. Oh, Kelly said, I ask for a container when my food arrives. Okay, and I even start eating and put some in the container. That's good. Yeah, awesome. That's good, Kelly. That's a really good one to do. I know some restaurants won't always bring you a takeout right away, but I've seen people take their food and divide it in half on their plate and just eat half. I haven't asked for a takeout container in a restaurant yet, so I'm not sure how that'll be with COVID-19. I assume they'll still let you take food out. I know often here they don't clear everything off the table until all the guests have left, but awesome. Good suggestion, Kelly. Another one too, I have, and if anybody else has any suggestions for eating out tips, type them in as well now, because we just don't learn from the webinar, but we learn from each other as well, is if they'll let you order off the seniors menu or the kids menu. They won't always let you do that. But if you're ordering takeout, they don't really know how old you are. So you could do that, but I know seniors portions are often smaller, so but it's still enough food, and the portion is probably what we should be eating. So if the restaurant will seniors or the kids menu, you can do that as well. Just a bit of a tip there. Anyone else have any tips that they use when they're eating out so they don't consume more calories or make some healthier choices? If you think of them, you can type them in there as well. Okay, so we're going to look at alcohol next. Be vegetarian, that's good as well, because or think about making a vegetarian choice, because usually then you're having something that's a little bit healthier, especially if a restaurant has that. That's a good tip. Thanks, Florin. That's an awesome one. Most restaurants and lots of them will give the nutritional information for those healthier items as well. So I know lots of restaurants are starting to have power bowls and things like that too. So yeah, it gives you better choices if you think about having something vegetarian. So we're going to look at Canada's low risk alcohol drinking guidelines, because often when we eat out, we have alcohol. So know your maximum limits. So for females, you should have no more than 2 drinks a day. That doesn't mean you have to have 2 drinks a day. It's a range, 0 to 2 drinks, and no more than 10 drinks per week. Males, no more than 3 drinks per day, and no more than 15 drinks per week. That doesn't mean if I don't drink all week, I can have 10 drinks on Friday night. You still need to follow the daily limits. And of course, it has you plan for some days where you don't consume alcohol. On the graphic, it does talk about standard drinks, and I'll talk about those in a minute. And again, if women have more than 3 standard drinks, and men have more than 4 standard drinks on any one occasion, that would be considered a binge. So if you're starting to have that many drinks on one occasion, then it's considered a binge. So these guidelines don't apply to all adults. So of course, these guidelines don't apply if you're pregnant. So you still can't have 2 drinks a day if you're pregnant. If you have certain medical conditions where the doctor said that you can't drink, if you're on certain medications, or if you have a personal or family history of a drinking problem, they don't apply to you. Saturday and Sunday, you take a break. Yeah, when you're at home, you're like, is it Saturday, Friday? What day is it? But they say you should not drink every day because you get to develop a habit. So plan for at least 2 non-drinking days a week. It doesn't have to be Saturday and Sunday. It can be whatever days, but it's easier to develop that habit if you do it every day. Same as if you exercise every day, that's a great habit because you start doing that every day, but you don't want to get the habit of drinking every day. As well, these guidelines don't apply if you need to be alert. So if you're operating machinery, or if you're doing sports or other activities where you need to be in control, or you're responsible for the safety of others at work or at home. So these guidelines don't apply to you. And of course, a good guideline to do is space your drinks an hour apart. Okay, so it's kind of a good guideline. And of course, alcohol counts anywhere in the world. And it just doesn't count at restaurants, it counts at home if you drink it as well. So thanks, Carmen, for that. When we'll get to drink alcohol in the country, I don't know, it still will be a while, I think. Drink water between each drink, that's a good one as well. Yeah, and it can depend on the drink too. Yeah. And we'll look at what a standard drink is. Yeah, it's good to have some water and eat some food as well when you're consuming alcohol. So in Canada, a standard drink has 13.6 grams of alcohol. So one standard drink is 12 ounces of beer, and that's a 5% beer, so a can or a bottle of beer. It's 1.5 ounces of spirits. So those are things like vodka, rum, tequila, and you get 1.5 ounces of those. And those are 40%. And then a 5-ounce glass of wine, and typically wine is 12%. So if your beer or your wine is a lower percent or a higher percent, then you need to make that adjustment. You could have more or less to be that standard guideline, because there are some alcohols that are higher than kind of the normal. So watch as well if you order draft beer. I said I was missing having craft draft beer. So a pint is 16 ounces. So if you had 3 pints, that's not 3 drinks. It actually is 4 standard drinks. So if I had a pint and a half, that would mean I would be at my limit for the day. So just watch that. As well, sometimes people, if they're drinking hard liquor, they're, putting in more than 1.5 ounces. Or if you're filling up your wine glass, you're putting in more than 5 ounces. So really watch those as well. Watch too, I mentioned that I liked craft beer. They will always have to tell you the percent of alcohol, because a standard drink is based on 5%. So if it is higher, then you could have less volume to be a standard drink. As well, what happens when we have alcohol? Well, all alcohol has calories, no matter the type. It's important to remember that while alcohol does has calories, it provides no really healthy nutrients for you. This means any calories you consume in the form of alcohol don't really provide any benefit for your body, and in a sense, they're empty calories. Okay, so even when someone's drinking beer and they say, oh, I'm carbing up, it's really important, I got to carb up for my workout. Well, there definitely are healthier ways to get your carbohydrates than from alcohol. Watch as well, because the drink mixes have a lot of calories. So even if you're having hard liquor, so that liquor, spirits, that rum, the vodka, whatever it is, a serving of 1.5 ounces is only about 98 calories, but if you start adding mix to it, can be up to 150 calories if you're adding a sugary mix. So it makes your drink, the total calories of your drink go up really quickly. And of course, when we consume alcohol, it stimulates our appetite. So I know for me, if I have a drink, you kind of want to have those snacky foods, right? It kind of goes together. So be aware of that. And also our power inhibitions are reduced and we are more likely to overeat. So everybody's probably done this at some point in the near past or back when you were younger. You go out, you drink more than you should, and then you go home and eat half a pizza or whatever it is, or a donut or those things. So it often stimulates our appetite, or we get home and eat a bunch of food. So something to think about: when we drink alcohol, we often consume more calories than we would if we didn't have that alcohol. So if you're trying to cut back on calories, it's a good place to do it, not just from the alcohol, but also the extra food we often eat. So I'm going to ask you some questions about alcohol. So which mixer has the most calories? Cola, so Pepsi, Coke, tonic water, or cranberry juice cocktail? I'll bring it up on the polls. Give you some time to answer. Tonic water, cranberry juice cocktail. Oh, it's pretty close there. Cola, tonic water, cranberry juice. Okay, well, we have a tie between cola and cranberry juice cocktail is the most popular answers. So the answer actually is cranberry juice cocktail. Notice it does say cocktail, so there may be some healthier cranberry juices, but this is a cocktail, so it's going to have some sugar added to it. So if you look at a cup of, average cup of Coke or Pepsi, so 250 milliliters is about 110 calories. Tonic water is actually 124 calories. It's actually a little bit higher than cola. Again, I often didn't realize that tonic water, if you like to drink gin and tonic, the tonic water is quite high in calories. So if you have club soda, it has no calories. And the cranberry juice cocktail is 152 calories. So just thinking about whatever you are, if you have having a drink, what you're mixing with it, because those calories can add up really quickly. So next question is for the beer drinkers. What beer has the most calories? So Budweiser, Coors Light, or Guinness? Originally I had the question, which beer has the least calories? I thought that's probably too easy to answer. Budweiser, Coors Light. Which beer has the most calories? So Guinness seems to be the most popular one, with 70% of you having answered that. Okay, so it actually is Budweiser. So when we compare 12 ounces of each one of those alcohols, so Budweiser is 5%, it has 145 calories. Coors Light is 105 calories, and Guinness is only 125 calories. So Budweiser is 5%, so the higher the alcohol of the beer, the higher the calories. Coors Light is 4.2, and Guinness is 4.2% as well. So that's why it's lower in calories than the Bud Light. I know though, if you have a can of Guinness, it's 440 milliliters, so it's a little bit more than the 12 ounces, which would be 350 milliliters. So it is going to be higher in calories. But if you're getting a pint of Budweiser, a pint of Coors Light, and a pint of Guinness, the Budweiser is going to be higher in calories. So just remember that with beer, the lower the percentage of alcohol, the lower it's going to be in calories typically, because those calories add, or the alcohol adds calories to it. I'm not sure, I didn't look up, but all those, they have like, you know, grapefruit, apple, orange, lime beers now too. You could check those and see how they are. They're usually a little bit lower in alcohol. So they may be lower in calories as well, but it might depend on what added sugar and how they sweeten the flavor. It might add some more calories. So last question for the day. What cocktail has the most calories? So a mojito, a pina colada, or a margarita. If you're not sure what they all are, I'll tell you later, and you can, I'll tell you the ingredients. Which cocktail? So an average mojito, average pina colada, average margarita. Oh, it looks like you guys know your cocktails pretty well. Almost everyone's saying pina colada, margarita. Okay, again, it depends on the restaurant that makes it and what they put in it. But then I looked kind of the average. So a mojito, usually they make them about 6 ounces. So when looking at these, they'd all have the same alcohol content, but the volume will be a little bit smaller because it depends what mix they're putting in it. So mojito is usually about 6 ounces, 143 calories, has rum, lime juice, and club soda. Now it might depend if they put club soda in or something else. I know I've seen sometimes they put like a sugar syrup in too to make it a bit sweeter. So that would add some calories as well. Pina colada usually comes in a 9-ounce serving. It's 490 calories because it's got rum in it. It's got pineapple juice and then like a coconut cream. So it adds, the calories can add up quite a bit. So anything that's going to be creamy is going to have a lot more calories. And a margarita, someone did answer margarita. It depends. So this is looking at a traditional margarita, kind of like the one on the picture, usually only about 4 ounces. 168 calories, has orange liqueur, tequila, and lime juice. I know sometimes margaritas can come blended and they might add some sweetener and stuff to it as well. And I think it can depend on what type of lime juice they add. So if they add fresh lime juice, it's going to be very low in calories. But if they're adding a lime juice that's like a mix, it's probably going to have added sugar to it. Oh, Ryan says when he makes mojitos, he doesn't add any sugar and they taste great. So yeah, it's quite a few. Mojitos can be low in calories for sure. Yeah, if you don't add any sugar or anything to it. And if you have the fresh mint, that really adds good flavor to it. So good. So that's it for alcohol questions. So this is just kind of one last thing to look at when you're going out, meeting some friends, maybe at a pub or a restaurant, and you have a few beer and some snacks, how that kind of compares to going out and having a meal. So both of these food options are about 1,150 calories. So if you have 2 cans of sort of regular beer, 146 calories. So 292 calories of beer, and then a cup of peanuts is actually 868 calories. So nuts are a good healthy snack, but if you eat a lot, those calories can add up quite quickly. They say if you're going to have a snack of nuts, to have about 1/4 of a cup because those calories add up. They are good for you for sure, but it's very easy, especially if you're drinking beer and the nuts make you salty, then you'll eat more. Just remember as well, it did say men could have up to 3 standard drinks a day. So if you had that in beer, it'd be about 450 calories, which is a lot of calories, empty calories, especially if you're trying to get to a healthier weight. So add those 2 beer and a cup of peanuts, it's about 1,150 calories. So if you look at the alternative on the right side of the screen, you could still have a beer. Okay, so have 146 calorie beer and then have some pretzels. So 60 grams of pretzels, 229 kilocalories. So that beer and pretzels is only 375 calories. And then you could also have that meal, have a cup of brown rice for 229 calories, 2.5 ounces of chicken, 141 calories, 2 cups of vegetables, 120 calories, a small side salad with light dressing, 74 calories. And then you could even indulge and have a cup of chocolate frozen yogurt, 233 calories, and water to drink. Someone mentioned having water. So it's a good thing to have as a beverage as well, no calories. And it adds up to very similar calories, 1,150. So if you look at the snack with the meal on the right, you're getting a lot great volume of food. It's going to fill you up more, even though it's the same calories. You're also getting a greater variety of nutrients instead of just having peanuts, and you're getting more nutrient dense food as opposed to some empty calories. So it is a better choice. So it's kind of good to think about those sometimes. And of course, sometimes when we drink alcohol, as I said before, it does stimulate our appetite. So if anyone thinks of any other questions or comments they'd like to share about eating out, whether it's food or drinks or places like that, things like that, tips for to share, that's great. I just have kind of one last slide to go through with you, and then I have a couple poll questions just to ask about your experience. So again, lots of people are working from home or starting to return to work. So if people feel they need to reach out, the Canadian Forces Member Assistance Program, so if you are military, Canada Suicide Hotline for anybody, information on COVID-19 is there, Family Information Line, Sexual Misconduct Center, the Kids Help Phone, and CMP ARC Administrative Response Center, again as well for COVID-19 information. So those resources are available. So I will bring up the last 2 polls, just again reflecting some statistics on how people feel about their experience. Again, I don't know who answers what, and you're not going to see everybody else's results either, I don't think. No, I'll be able to see I can see who answered, but you guys are not going to see the percentage or who answered what. So so how satisfied are you with the Demio platform? And I feel I can apply what I learned today in my daily life. So that is it for today. I didn't think I'd be a whole hour. I thought I might be shorter, but that means you guys had excellent participation. So thank you so much. If you think of any other last questions you'd like to answer, please let me know. Just remember as well, there are webinars going on nationally all week. If you go to CAF Connection, Virtual Services and Health promotion webinars, you can see the schedule there. A good thing about if you register ahead, if you've noticed, you'll get a reminder an hour before and then a reminder 15 minutes before. So it's a really good reminder. Thanks, Joanne. Thanks for attending. It's really awesome. Hope you got some tips, or sometimes it's a good reminder of when we do eat out again, what to think about it. It's a good reminder for me as well to think about some healthy choices. So Florin, awesome. Thank you, Jamie. See everybody. Happy Monday. Almost getting to the second half of the day for us. Awesome. Thanks, Carmen and Michaela, Ryan. Awesome. See you guys. Thanks so much for attending.